Hey there and welcome back. Today, we're jumping into a really powerful set of words. Words that are all about building things up, restoring what was lost, and inspiring change. Think of these as the words you need to tell a story of growth, from that initial spark of an idea all the way to that final peaceful ending. So, let's jump right in.
So yeah, our theme today is all about that journey, that path to positive change. We're going to look at 20 words that are basically a toolkit for talking about improvement, recovery, and renewal. These are the words you pull out for any great comeback story, whether it's your own or something you're watching unfold.
So we've broken this down into a kind of three-act story. First up, catalysts and aspirations. Then we'll get into soothing and strengthening, and we'll wrap things up with accolades and absolution.
All right, let's get into part one, catalysts and aspirations. These are the words for that first spark, right? The motivation, the big dreams, and those first few steps you take on a totally new path.
So everything really kicks off with these three key actions. First, you've got to aspire to something bigger. You set that really high goal. Next, you have to adapt, because let's be real, plans almost never go exactly as you think they will. You have to be flexible. And finally, you catalyze the change. You kick off that one action that gets the whole ball rolling.
So when you're taking on that change, how do you do it? Hopefully with alacrity. I love this word. It's not just about being fast. It's about being fast and cheerful about it. It's that energetic, heck yeah, let's do this kind of vibe. Like if you say, she accepted the new project with alacrity, you can just feel that positive energy, that readiness to get going right away.
Okay, so as you're working toward that goal, you're probably going to need to augment your resources. And that just means adding to something to make it better or bigger or stronger. You could augment your skills by taking a class or augment your savings with a side hustle. It's all about strategic growth.
And isn't it the best feeling when things get off to an auspicious start? When something's auspicious, it feels like a good sign, Like success is just around the corner. For example, the early positive feedback was an auspicious sign for the launch. It just gives you that feeling that everything's going your way.
And hey, sometimes you just get a lucky break. That's a boon. It's something that's super helpful and comes at just the right time, kind of like a gift. It's that unexpected plus that just makes your journey a whole lot easier. Like, the drop in interest rates was a real boon for homebuyers. It's the perfect thing at the perfect moment.
All right, time for Act 2. So we've sparked the change, and now we're in the middle of it all. These next few words are all about the tough but super rewarding work of healing, fixing things, and building up that resilience you need for the long haul.
Okay, here's a pair of words that trips a lot of people up: alleviate versus ameliorate. So to alleviate something is to make a specific problem less intense. Think about taking an aspirin to alleviate a headache. You're targeting the symptom. But to ameliorate is to make a bad situation better as a whole. So new safety rules might ameliorate conditions in a factory, but they might not do anything to alleviate a specific worker's back pain. See the difference? One lessens the pain, the other improves the whole situation.
Now, while alleviate often deals with physical stuff, assuage is pretty much always about our inner world, our emotions. You assuage someone's fears, or you assuage your own guilt. It's all about calming those intense feelings.
So an analgesic, this is our one really medical term today, but it fits perfectly with our theme of recovery. It's just a fancy word for a painkiller. And the connection is pretty straightforward, right? It's a tool for soothing physical pain, and that's often a huge part of any real journey of healing.
Let's look at a great example of how assuage works. The quote is, "The leader's calm words help assuage the team's anxiety." Now notice, the words didn't fix the company's problems, but they did make the team's anxiety less intense. It's a perfect example of soothing an emotion.
A big part of renewal is making things right. And that's what it means to atone. It's when you take real, concrete actions to make up for something you did wrong. It's not just saying sorry, it's doing sorry. And that's such a powerful step in personal growth. Oh, I really love this next word, burnish. Literally, you can burnish a piece of metal, polish it till it shines. But metaphorically, and this is the cool part, you can burnish your skills with practice, or burnish your reputation by always doing the right thing. It's all about polishing something until it's the best it can be.
So after all that hard work, all that atoning and burnishing, what's next? Well, that brings us to our final act: accolades and absolution. These are the words for success, for praise, and for that deep sense of peace you get when everything is finally resolved.
To attain a goal is so much more than just getting it done. The word itself just screams effort. It implies there was a lot of hard work and dedication involved. You don't attain a spot in the checkout line. You attain a degree, you attain that big promotion, you attain a lifelong dream.
And when you finally attain that huge goal, you might just have reached your zenith. The zenith is the absolute highest point, the peak of your power or success. For an athlete, it's that gold medal. For a scientist, it's the big breakthrough. It's the very top of the mountain.
Okay, let's talk about praise and get really specific with two types. First, there's adulation. This is that crazy over-the-top praise. Think of fans screaming for a rock star. It's all emotion. Then you have approbation. This is much more formal, respected approval, like a project gets the approbation of the board. One is wild and loud, the other is careful and considered.
So if approbation is the formal approval, then an accolade is the thing you can actually hold in your hand. It's the trophy, the certificate, the award itself. It's that formal recognition that says, wow, you did it and you were amazing. Like winning a Grammy is considered the highest accolade in music, right?
You know, after a long, tough journey, what do we all want? We seek asylum. And sure, it has that official political meaning, but in a broader sense, it just means any place of safety and refuge. For some people, a quiet library is their asylum. For others, it's a garden, or even just their favorite comfy chair. It's a safe haven from all the chaos.
And that brings us to our last word, absolution. This is really the ultimate renewal. It means you're formally released from guilt or blame or some obligation. So after you've atoned for a mistake, what you're really hoping for is absolution, a totally clean slate, and that amazing freedom of being able to move on without all that weight from the past.
And there you have it, a whole journey told through 20 really powerful words. We kicked things off with that initial spark, then we dove into the hard work of healing and getting stronger, and we finished up with the amazing rewards, success and peace.
And that's a wrap for us today. So I've got a question for you. Which of these words are you going to try to use to burnish your own conversations this week? I'd love to know. Thanks so much for tuning in.